Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Nantucket Historic District Commission.
Yeah,
Reverb.
hold on. Let's try that. Sounds better.
Good? Okay. Today is June 17th. It's just after 4 p.m. Let's see, this meeting is being audio-video recorded. Anything you say or share will be shown on the town's YouTube channel. Please act accordingly. If anyone would like to record from the audience, you may do so through clarification from the chair. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Let's see, regular members, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Are there any, let me back up a second here. Are there any recusals on consents?
Me.
Ray? So Connie, you'll sit unless you have a recusal? No, good, okay. Let's see, can I get a motion to approve consents, please?
Motion to approve consents.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Consent with conditions, any recusals? Can I get a motion to approve consent with conditions?
Motion to approve consent with conditions.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Signs. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 sign applications. Can we get a motion to approve or accept the sign committee's recommendation?
So moved.
Regular members, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Commissioner Q&A with Preservation Planner. This is the moment you get an opportunity to ask Holly if you've got any questions on her comments and go from there. Yeah?
No, I think I had one, but I figured it out, so.
Okay.
I was thinking Folger Court was Folger Lane. But I figured it out, so thank you.
And Holly, would you please give us an update on the CLG agenda?
Yeah, so I had drafted an agenda. I just need to send it out to the chairs after we, chairs, myself and yourself and the chair of the NHC had our meeting last week. Just to put that on your calendar, that it will be next Friday, 1 o'clock via Zoom. I will be sending you all the link, and of course, this is a public meeting, so anybody in the public can attend. So any of those topics, our survey work, those type of things will be on the agenda.
Perfect. Yeah, we got some new and exciting things to cover, procedural.
Yes.
You're going to love it. Okay, thank you, Holly, very much. A couple of announcements to make as we proceed through the agenda. Old business from 6:10. No, I'm sorry. New Whale Street demo building was held from 6:10 for clarification from town council on a vote. And that is being held at the applicant's request and for written clarification from town council. So that is likely going to be on for July 2nd, is it, 1st?
Mr. Chair, we haven't received word from town council yet, and I haven't talked to the applicant about the returning date,
Okay.
because it was just a motion
Okay.
on,
So the earliest it would be July, just for people who are interested, but please stay tuned to the agenda. I was understanding it was going to be first week of July, but we'll get clarification on that. So that's being held. Let's see, the next one that's being held, 25 Hussey Street. That'll be held until June 24th, along with 10 Straight Wharf and 5 Meter Street. And that brings us to new business of May 6th. And we will be reviewing 24 Arlington Street, plastic shed. Do we have a? Hello. Please step up to the mic. That'll be helpful.
Oh, the plastic shed, right.
So it's a regular board, which means I guess Abby, Val, myself, and Ray.
That's okay.
Should have cut right through it. visibility from that back.
My name is Bernice Judd from 24 Arlington Street.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so we've had an opportunity to review the application and to view it, and Ray actually wanted to begin. So Ray, why don't you start?
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. There was just one thing about the application that was unclear, at least to me, and that was ordinarily, we're not approving plastic sheds, but it's in the back of the house. It's not visible from Arlington, I'm sure, because the house is in the way. But there's a little street that runs behind there. Are you going to be able to see the plastic shed from that street that's kind of,
Yes, but I have planted some evergreens. So once they grow up, they go to about 14 feet, you wouldn't see it.
okay.
And
So
I
there is a
also
window
plant-
there, but there's plantings
Yes.
in that direction. Oh, here's Val Oliver. Thank you, that was my question.
Val?
And that's a private way. That's James Driscoll's way.
Yeah,
So only if you live on that street, you can use that street. That backs up to her.
All right, well, this is for later, but an abutter's way, so to speak, is publicly traveled. In other words, they couldn't chase me off of that property, I don't think. But anyway, thank you both.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Ray. Val?
I went out and took pictures, and where she's proposing to put it, you will not see it from Arlington, ever.
Okay.
We don't love them, but we're not going to see it.
Angus?
So to that end, I'm fine with it as long as we have the clause of not visible at inspection and in perpetuity.
Okay, Abby?
I think this was, I was the one that put this to the board, I think. Yep, yeah, okay. Yeah, I do have some issues with the plastic in that screening's gonna show, I just think we can't depend on the screenings. I would not be in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. Based on limited to lack of visibility, I'm okay with this. And subject to the screening.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted with the caveat that it must be screened in perpetuity.
Okay, let's see. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
On the name.
Let the record reflect Abby is the no. Okay. You're good to go.
all right, thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, that moves us on to 6 Fargo Way.
Thank you for
7-1.
applying.
Held
Most
till
people
7.
don't.
Oh, held till 7/1.
Yeah.
So 6 Fargo Way is held till July 1st, which puts us to 5 Folgers Court, outdoor shower. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Well, thanks. Welcome to the HTC.
Thank you.
So how this works is if you want to just give us a brief introduction, you can direct staff through the presentation. It's an outdoor shower. We'd like to focus on the site plan and visibility if it's a concern.
Okay,
Perfect.
so I'm here to represent my daughter. She owns the property. She's in Manhattan, so she couldn't make it, but I've been involved in it. We hired Seth Hatch, who's a local reputable contractor, to build the showers, who's given us some guidance. And then when we put the application in, there was some concern about changing where we had put it. And the wall, that wall that the shower's gonna be on, there's no other spot on that wall that'll fit. If you look at the drawing, we've got one is the vent to the gas heater, and there's a window, and there's a gas line, and there's the gas tank, and there's another window, and then there's the vent to the hot water heater, and then there's the crawl space. So there's really nowhere else along that wall that the shower would fit. There is plenty of thick privet that wraps all the way around it. So we felt in looking at all the possibilities, that was really the only option as to where it would fit and be hidden from the street.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, you guys have Did Scott, we got Wisconsin, did that make it into the packet? I don't remember seeing that one.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Benchley reached out to me and he said he concurred with my comments.
Okay.
So nothing additional. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Okay, so who'd like to begin, regular members?
I'm happy to start.
Angus?
I agree with staff comments that this should be, because it's got streets on both front and back, that it should move halfway in between. Thank you.
Thanks. Ray?
I'm of a similar mind. Now, there's a couple of confusing things here. So the site plan has it like right at the corner of the building, like literally at the corner of the building. But then when I look at this photograph, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong photograph, but I don't think so, it looks like that corner of the building has a window right there.
It's not gonna, it's gonna be sticking out, well, it's gonna be attached to the building, but no window's gonna be in the way. I don't know how to describe it to you.
So what you have right now, and I kind of don't want to belabor this, so you have the privet running across, right? And it looks like you got a Rosa Sharon that's sort of right at the end where the
Right.
corner board of the building is. But then right inside of the privet, isn't there a window there?
Yeah, there is.
It's set plenty far back.
What is?
Window, if you look at the drawing where I have it written, there's no window that's in the way of
All right,
that.
maybe I'm just misunderstanding this photograph, but can we
I
go
was the
to-
one who went out and measured it, and so it's really not even.
I mean, I'm believing what you're
Well,
saying.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let's see if we can, so let's go to the site plan, please.
The site plan, I think we can all agree, it's drawn right at the corner of the building, but.
Right, just for reference to make sure something's not
Okay,
wrong on the site plan.
Okay,
I thought
That
that
was
was a
the-
porch. It backs up to the porch.
Okay, can we make this a little less?
Can I come up there and point to it?
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on, just hold on a second. Can we make the whole thing bigger? Like it seems like, can we get rid of the people or something? Seems like we got a little tiny screen. So obviously, we're showing the outdoor shower at the corner of a structure.
Not really, that's a deck that it's in line with, that's not the structure.
Okay, so I think this is where the confusion's coming up. So now let's please go to the imagery.
It's really not overlapping that wall at all, and
It's
at
the
the actual
open
corner.
part.
this, right there.
That's the open
So
shed.
this is a porch.
That's not where it's gonna be though.
Oh,
So what are these white arrows?
Yeah.
Well, it's behind though, just to show behind that privet, to show you there's privet blocking it from the street.
Okay,
You
and
can't see it.
so is the site plan representing something we're not seeing here, which is that?
If I could, you could put that.
Hold on,
picture
please,
Okay,
please.
sorry.
Let us please facilitate our meeting.
I think you were asking me a question, sorry.
Please. Is the site plan showing us something we're not seeing here due to depth perception, that there's actually a space between this sidewall and the privet? That's that space you were talking about on the ground?
Yes,
Okay, so, okay, that makes more sense now that we understand that.
so it's not drawn right.
I think it's drawn right in the site plan, but the image is foreshortening the area between the house and the deck area. But I don't know how we could be doing it that much, but
Mr. Chair,
This is a porch.
correct.
it's a
And where
void.
they're showing it is backing up to the porch, not in back of it.
right. Right,
I'm just gonna refer you to the HDC survey that showed that.
right. Okay. So Ray, does that address your question?
It does, you know. I mean, there's obviously like tons of precedent for outdoor showers right up next to the road. I'm not sure that any of them were approved by the board. Understand the issue of all the utilities and so forth, but, I'm wondering whether one or more of those utilities can move just to make room for this, as Angus says, more towards the middle of the yard rather than right at the edge. But I'll be interested in hearing what other people have to say.
Okay, thanks, Val.
Ideally, it would be great if it could be pushed back, at least somewhat. I agree with Ray. You did a good job of showing us pictures of other places out there that have them, and I assume it's going to be natural to weather. And I think we should just put the caveat that it should be screened from public purview.
Okay, thanks. Patty?
Oh, gosh. I think I understand it now. I thought I was in favor of it, but now I think maybe having it on the corner and having the screening, I'd rather have it pushed back towards the middle of the lot. Thank you.
Thanks. I actually think as long as this is sufficiently screened, it's okay, given the precedents in the area. Not that we're making determinations based upon that, but this is reportedly going to be behind privet and natural to weather. The only thing I would want is that it doesn't, unlike image option 1 preferred, number 8 of 14 slides, that the shower head doesn't stick up, and it should be more, to my mind, like option 2, which is the shower head isn't even visible and it's just a solid board, natural to weather. That's on slide 9 of 14. Okay, so it sounds like consensus is to relocate this.
You can't move the utilities that are in the house, and you can't move the windows. It's a small house. One is a gas stove. You'd have to basically take it out and not have it anymore. And then the hot water heater, it's the only place in the house that it's not even a hot water heater, so it's continuous hot water. It's a very small unit because it's the only place it can fit. And that's being vented. And the gas line and the gas tank.
Is this an as-built?
No,
Okay, I think we should have you, go ahead. I was gonna ask for a view, but.
well, I'm gonna make a suggestion here. You know the shrub I'm calling a rose of Sharon?
Yes.
All right, well, that rose of Sharon is deciduous. And if it were an evergreen, then we wouldn't be seeing what we would clearly be seeing through this deciduous shrub. So I think that I could be persuaded that this would be all right, particularly given, precedent like crazy out there. And, a lot of these, well, we know this area well, and we know that these houses are all A, cheek by jowl, and B, front 2 streets. So, trying to conceal an outdoor feature is like really difficult to do. So I think that's why there's this precedent for it, because, it's like people need to have, well, they don't need to have an outdoor shower, but it's certainly a nice amenity. So I think that my own view is that if we had some kind of evergreen to replace that, so that when we looked at it this way, we're looking at something that was constantly leafing, and it would be far more difficult to see it.
Sure.
So just a thought.
We also don't, we're showering, we don't want people to see us either, so we want to make sure it's enclosed and
generally
fully
the
covered,
case.
high walls and plenty of bushes.
Well,
It's the only
that's-
place it can fit.
Thank you,
logically.
Val.
That would be my comment. I'd want to know kind of what it was going to look like what the height is,
The shower itself.
yeah, we don't have any real information on. It's 4 by 4, we know that, but in terms of height or anything else, if we can just get a drawing maybe, even if it's rough.
Yeah, or we can make a stipulation as to what we find approved.
Right.
I expect, I was gonna go the height you folks wanted.
Okay. Val, do you want a drawing, or are you comfortable with us stipulating what it is we?
Yeah.
Could I make a suggestion? I'm thinking that, I like Ray's idea, but would it be possible to just add privet behind the Rose of Sharon so that you you would definitely not see it, and it would just be the height of what the privet you already have there? Just a
If
row
you,
of
if you
privet?
go and walk there, you can't even hardly walk, there's so much privet and thickness, and then you got the gas line and stuff in there is not, I don't know what else that would cover, because that's way off of,
Okay, just,
there's a full line of privet between this house and the one next to us, it goes all the way to Folgers, it goes from Shell to Folgers. It's very high, dividing the two houses, and you have the roads of Sharon on Shell. And then you've got the utilities
So,
along that
excuse me,
wall.
Excuse me, so where we are is that it's been proposed that as opposed to Rose of Sharon, there would be an evergreen plant material. Val, you are okay with that?
Yeah, and just,
Subject to the delineation of what will actually be built with respect to dimensions and materials. Yes or no? I'm just trying to understand.
yeah.
Because we're taking way too long.
no, I know, but I want to point out that he also put privet, like they're going to plant privet there, so.
oh,
Can I add something?
I mean, Angus, go ahead.
Well, this is the main thoroughfare. If you're coming from Pulpus Road, this is the road you're coming down. So it's, it's a main artery. And we have rules about, or guidelines about high fences being facing the street or along the street. And I'm hearing two conflicting things. One is we want a board fence that's high enough to hide the shower head, but the shower head is generally at 6'8" or, at least 6 feet. And we generally don't have a fence that's much higher than 4 feet in that area. An outdoor shower, is usually between 5 and 6 feet high. So it's just, I have concerns about how this presents.
Okay, thank you. That's consistent with your previous comment. I would suggest a fence, but this is a fence. It's a natural to weather wooden fence. I'm back to where we were before. There are plenty that are grossly visible and obnoxious. And I'm personally agreeable with the evergreen material. What do we want to do?
I'm going to make a motion.
Thank you.
Give it a try. Okay, my motion is this, that the outdoor shower as located on the site plan will be natural to weather, 6 feet high, board, vertical board, and that the existing Rose of Sharon is going to be substituted for an evergreen tree, shrub, like holly or whatever, but evergreen. Not you, Holly, the species Holly. That's my motion.
You want to do an Exhibit A?
I could, yeah.
Okay, so that's Ray's motion, Exhibit A. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I am.
I'll be opposed to.
So for the record, Angus and Abby opposed. Okay. All right, now we are on to 25 Dukes Road, rooftop solar. Tobias?
So does that mean it's okay or is that?
You're gonna need to make a check with Kathy at the office. There'll be a couple quick steps you need to make, but you have an approval.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And you won't need a building permit.
Okay, right.
Oh, because it's like a fence.
Yeah. I don't, I like one.
Outdoor shower?
I don't have one. I've never had one.
Oh, that's a bit of a tragedy.
Tobias? You good?
You have a solar array. It's built on a building in between two other buildings that both have solar on them. Pleasure of the board.
Thank you. Okay, so Abby, you held this. What was up?
Oh, gosh, let me refresh my memory for a second. Where is this? Crooked Lane. Oh, I think it was something about looking down the driveway. Let me check. And seeing it. Is photo A, is that what's already there?
If you could just scroll to
Yeah.
photo
Is
A.
it an as-built?
No,
No.
that's already approved.
Oh, okay.
So if I could clarify, currently 2 buildings on the lot with solar on them. On both of the sides of the building, I might surmise that they look very nice and appropriate. And the client is adding in another building in between the 2 structures that will also have solar on.
Does that answer your question, Abby?
Yes, it sounds like the one that you're building in between won't be seen because it will be blocked by that building that you see in photo A.
To Abby's
For a site plan?
Val?
point, the plot plan does not show any buildings, just solar panels floating in the air.
And fortunately, there's a locust plan, and because we are advanced minds, we will request, one, that be rectified, but two, we understand that these will be on the rear of the house, not visible from the driveway, and visible only obliquely from Duke's Road, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does anyone have any concerns?
The only one is just showing a site plan that has more than the solar panels.
Okay. Do we have a motion with, including a condition that the site plan be shown with the roof layout and the panels?
So moved.
So that will be Angus's restriction condition. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Great. So now we're on to 10R Academy.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Real quickly, Joe's in the queue, Joe's online, just want to let you know.
Oh, okay, thank
And
you.
then 10R Academy has been held till July 1st.
Oh, July 1st again.
Yeah, the
Hold,
butters.
hold.
Issues.
And these, all these holds were timely?
Yes.
Okay. 62 Winoma. Do we have a rep? 1, 2, 3 in a row.
It's Tobias's solar.
No?
I know.
Okay, so we're going to hold
Might have been why I didn't
362 Winoma Way applications, all color changes, and we'll go to 220 Milestone. Ethan? Good evening. Good afternoon.
I have to recuse from this. I'm doing some work for the Conservation Foundation as well.
Okay, so let's have Joe, are you with us?
I am, yes.
Great. Can you sit on these 3?
Sure, yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
And we just saw that the order was the move offs first and the relocation. You guys want to do that before the building?
Yes,
Okay.
please proceed.
Sure. Ethan Griffin, on behalf of the applicant, Nantucket Conservation Foundation. Ultimately, you'll see a building, new educational and research facility that's being proposed for this site. It's 220 Milestone, most commonly known as the Milestone Cranberry Bogs. These are 2 structures that are in the general vicinity of the new structure. So we'd like to relocate them on site, and then this particular barn, Nick Larrabee will take to a new property that he has. So this is the barn. Regretfully, we didn't have the original date when we submitted the application, but Nick said they started I think the gambrel was 2010, and then 2012 they added the little gable end on the back. So relatively recent structure.
Okay, thank you. I would like to be sure that with these, we get, please, commissioners, if you are reviewing a move off or demo request, that prior to the hearing, the applicant submit the property record card footprint so that it's in the packet. Okay? Because it shows the dimensions, it's useful for people who want to actually,
Maybe take it, right?
who maybe want to take it, otherwise they have no idea, and it's just part of what we need to do. So please, I haven't forgotten best practices are due, but that's going to be one of them. Who would like to begin?
Mr. Chair, may
Yeah.
I? Thank you. I just wanted to reference, since Ethan said that the structure is going to be moved, I would respectfully request if the board can make their motion for a approval for move off versus the demo, since we know it's going to be moved.
What, Ethan, what was the year of the house you said?
The front
Or the-
gambrel part, I think is 2010, and then they added the gable in 2011, 2012.
Okay. Okay, that's good information, thank you. Okay, Ray,
Can you come back to me? I'm sorry.
sure,
Got-
Val,
got
Val, you're
catch up.
off. Joe,
I have no concerns.
okay. Angus?
As always, I'd rather see a move than a demo, but I'm okay with it.
Abby?
I'd like to see the little gambrel barn reused on the site if possible.
That's the next application.
Oh, so the gambrel's not on this one? It's just the long building?
Well, this is to move the structure. The recite the Bog House is
separate.
a separate
Okay.
structure.
Okay. Okay, no concerns, thank you.
Ray? Good. Ray's good. I'm good. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
On your motion, Joe?
Aye.
Ray?
Hey,
Angus?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Carries unanimously. Recite the Bog House.
Okay, Ethan Griffin again, on behalf of the applicant. This is a house, I think it was built in the 60s. It was moved to the site in the 2000s. And we are proposing to relocate it on the site, kind of around the hill. The goal is to work with the existing topography to have a similar kind of drive-out scenario where the garage is below that's there now. So that's kind of why we picked that area on the site. But granted, we didn't submit a full set of drawings that represents that.
Okay, so just to get clarification, this is a different,
No.
Yeah, keep scrolling. It's a whole new application.
Yeah, this is.
We just disposed of this one, or not disposed, and dispose of.
all right, no, this isn't right. Okay. Okay, can we scroll down, please? Yes, okay. So this is a dwelling, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's subject to the demo delayed bylaw. Who would like to begin?
I'm happy to start.
Angus?
As far as I understand, it's just a move on lot, and I don't have any issues with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Abby?
No issues.
Does anyone have any concerns with this?
new.
No.
Somebody have a motion?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Okay. Let's see, on your motion,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Angus,
Aye.
or I'm sorry, Joe,
Aye.
Ray? Okay,
And I'm an I too.
and I'm an aye. On the prior one, I want to be clear, that motion include the property record card information.
In
Yes.
terms of,
The move-off demo of the other building, the first one.
yeah, I'll clarify with staff, but what's the
Yeah,
property record
basically,
card?
you go to the town GIS, click on the property
Oh.
record, it gives you the footprint of it,
Yeah,
so it's there. Okay.
it's actually not listed on the GIS.
Oh, well,
Well, if
I don't know if it was
built
ever permitted to be put there in the
2012,
first
there's
place.
probably a plan.
even more fun. Okay, so now we're on to the new building.
Yes. And I'm here just really to introduce it. Again, this is 220 Milestone Road. It's a new educational research center. And we've got Cormac Collier who's the executive director of the Nantucket Conservation Foundation, who can talk a little bit about just their goals for the project. And then Todd Woodward from SMP Architects, who's the principal and leading the design team for this project.
Okay, Cormac, are you with us?
I am.
Oh, here you are. See you, good to see you.
Good afternoon. Mr.
So you
Chairman.
kind of know the drill. We're looking at the architectural elements and so on and so forth. So why don't you give us what you got?
Absolutely. Be very brief just to introduce the project. Cormac Collier, for the record, president of the Nantucket Conservation Foundation. Thrilled to be before the HDC on a project that basically emphasizes the next chapter of the Conservation Foundation to build a new working facility that has educational areas and ecological research laboratory space for the community and for the foundation to enhance our work. Very excited to present it for you and looking forward to your feedback. I do believe Todd Woodard from SMP is online and will be describing the project in more detail under your purview.
He might want to share.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting towards a preliminary, comments from board members, just to get an idea whether there's any concern with this before we go too far into it. But I'll kind of hold off and see. I do have a question before we proceed. It's shown with this nice flowered grasslands Is there any intention that there will be foundation plantings, natural, indigenous tree material or anything like that?
In terms of the front facade and the back facade, this is going to be a fairly intensive native plant restoration landscape of forbs, flowers, grasses, and there would be some woody shrub plantings as well.
Okay, and any indigenous tree material?
We're not, in terms of indigenous tree material that we're planting,
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious if what we're seeing as a rendering is what we're going to expect to see when
you'll
it's
probably
built.
have some scrub oak, coastal shrub mix in there as well.
Okay, so there will be some visual breaks.
Exactly,
Okay,
yes.
that was my question, thank you. Okay, so do we want to run down from the architect, or do we, and not to shut anyone off, but, I mean, the pictures are here.
Happy to share as much or as little as you like.
Okay,
I have just one
Abby, go ahead.
technical question. So you've got a standing seam roof and you've got solar on it. Are those compatible? I haven't seen that before.
Yes, very much so. As far as technically compatible, absolutely. The standing seams can be made to accommodate the solar panels pretty easily, actually.
I'm sure that's not your question.
And the color is, the color of the standing seam is,
We're proposing a light gray or silver color, not unlike some of the agricultural buildings that exist on and have existed on that site in the past.
okay, thank you.
Anything else, Abby?
No. I just
Okay,
wanted to-
so I just want to go into comments. Ray?
Well, I did a pre-review of this, so I'm not,
Yeah.
starting from zero right now. So I think maybe we talked about a couple things. One is the solar panels are a separate application from this. But I'm kind of glad that you're showing them on there because Abby raises a good point, which is black panels on, let's call it light gray roof, might provide more contrast than we would like if it happens to be in an area that's very visible. I note the fact that this building has a large footprint, but I think, what is it, 26 feet tall? Yeah, 26 feet tall. It's situated, kind of in the middle of the property. So, generally, I'm like very much in favor of this application. I would like to think through the solar, its visibility, what Abby has identified as its compatibility with the roof below it. And the only other thing I'm going to mention, which really isn't part of this application, is it looks like you're creating a level platform and that you have a fair amount of fill going on the low side of that arc road that goes around. And this is, we're not approving the landscape, right, at this time? I mean, the hardscape?
We're anticipating there's a separate application for the hardscaping when we
Yeah,
get to it.
so I'm just, interested in knowing, I'm sure you guys have thought about this, whether that berming that you're proposing there is going to be, conspicuous and artificial feeling. Certainly get and appreciate that you're cutting in the upper side of the build, cut and fill in a traditional sense. So I like the approach, just wondering about that berm, but that's not part of this application.
Can I respond quickly? Or,
Go ahead.
I mean, we hope very much the opposite, actually, that the berming that we do is done in a natural way and in a way that just doesn't look artificial at all, but actually fits into the nature of the landscape in that area.
Okay. Okay, that's it for me, Mr.
Okay.
Chair, thank you.
Let's see. Abby, you spoke on the solar, but do you want to?
Could I ask, well, okay, thank you. And I wasn't even recorded anyway, so I just put it on now. So Ray mentioned that the height was 26 feet. And is that the highest height that these buildings are, or because they do look kind of not very high? Is 26 the highest?
It's the highest.
It's the highest,
Yeah, it's a
okay.
measurement to the highest.
That's what I
was just
okay.
confirming as well, but that's to the highest point, the ridge of the highest roof.
with the dormer. Okay. I think, I love the simplicity. I like the layout. I like even the landscaping that we're not talking about. I just, because this is conservation and I like the light roof to go with the moors and everything, but I think there is going to be a bit of a stark contrast with the black panels. So I'm just wondering if there's not a standing seam roof that has a darker, doesn't have, not black, but something darker that would make these solar panels sit better on the roof. Thank you.
Thanks. Angus?
Both of my concerns have been brought up. I'm looking along the north, I think it's the north elevation. There's a 7-foot variation in grade. And so to a certain degree, that's been shown in elevation, but I'm not sure all of it has been. And as far as the color and the solar, like the color of the roof is something that we would be dealing with now, but it's just sort of preempting the solar going on there. I think the gray fits into the landscape a lot better than black. But I think that the solar would stand out on that, and that's why we're so, that's why we have the guidelines about a black roof. And so I guess I would have a question to the applicant through the chair about whether there's an option, just as we vote on the color of the roof now, if there's an option for a ground array as opposed to being on the roof of the building.
Thank you. Let's see, Val?
I'm not on it.
Oh, that's right.
I'm on it, I believe.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely I think it's appropriate that this has an agrarian feel to it, and I think that it could go a little bit further. I mean, there's some additive massing here, but all the eaves line up. I think that you could vary the eaves coming off of the central mass and play up the additive massing a little bit more. I think that would be a nice detail. And I question the 2/2 windows, and there's a lot of ganged windows, and I feel like a more simple punctuation of single windows, or maybe there's oversized windows, but they have more muntins. It just, the 2/2 feels slightly incongruent with the vernacular. I'm being a little bit nitpicky, but I think it would be nice to feel like this is a series of structures that maybe have evolved over time versus being done all at once. And I just see a lot of repetitive elements spread across the additive massing. And I think some variation between the volumes would be appreciated. And I wouldn't hate a cupola. So those are my comments.
Thanks, Joe. So I think that leaves me. So solar, primarily this is located on the, solar's gonna be, bear with me a second. I have this all organized in my brain. Be on the south elevation, and that's it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so, color-wise, I mean, I'm looking at imagery from other locations that have the gray palette, standing roof seam. We have that at the ice club, at the ice rink. There it is very much, if you will, in your face, given its proximity to the street, the number of vehicles that go by, the orientation of the panels on some, relative to some of the roof planes and their angularity and so on and so forth. This is reading to me as primarily a field, left to right on the south elevation, so I'm not as concerned. However, we are gonna have an opportunity to address solar with that application. At that point, you know, Angus made a good point of bringing up solar array on the ground. We ask that you consider it. Obviously, you can register the fact that roof color is gonna have, is gonna be a consideration for some members. So, you know, just be prepared to address those concerns. With respect to the architecture, I don't disagree with Joe. I think the far right, as you're facing the west elevation, if the far right and I don't want to say this, the roof plane that is the gable forward, that's showing to us on the west elevation as a connector between gable elements and to the far right, if that top plate were lowered slightly, I think it would create a little bit of, how do I want to say this? I just a little more visual interest. However, where this is, how this is, I don't have a concern with it. I think it's provable as is. But I think if you guys are willing to put a little bit of tweaking into it, you're going to have an even better building. And we hear that a lot from people who come to the HTC and say, gee, we're really glad we stuck it out. Not that this is like the building I'm going to mention, but the town dormitories over off of by the Plus building is a great example of where the architect kind of stuck it through with us and made a huge difference in the final product. So if you guys are open, from my perspective, if you're open to making some changes, I think you'll benefit. Where do we want to go with this?
Well,
Didn't sense a lot of concern about the architecture itself. My comments, Joe's, but.
That's what I was going to say. You know, although I appreciate Joe's comments and yours about ways to improve this, I don't see that those improvements are required for me to vote in favor of this.
I keep missing the major word, that you would vote in favor of this?
Well, I'll break it down into simple terms. I wouldn't not disagree with some potential possible changes that were made in a negative way to affect the positive result.
I
So
see.
in other
Okay.
words,
No, I get it.
I would vote for this right now.
I'm glad you explained it
Yeah,
first.
could I try something?
Go ahead.
So I was thinking along those lines.
Wait, which ones?
But so what I want to give a compliment here, because the combination of materials.
I just did.
And I'll give you a compliment too. Well, I'm looking at the sage and the wineberry, and it's just the simplicity of this architecture. It's all sort of making sense where it is, and that it doesn't have a cupola, and then it doesn't have all this stuff. So I'm just, I might be in favor, as Ray said, that I could be
Okay, thank you.
in favor of this.
So, well, they put in for their colors. Just to clarify, my comment would be the top plate height on the far right, on the south elevation, and the connector slightly lower to break that eave that goes straight across left to right, almost. But I don't have, I'm like Ray, I don't think it necessarily needs to happen.
I think the architect just said he could do that.
And what do we think the drop would be? 9 inches a foot?
I think we could do that
6
without
inches?
problem. Yeah. We have to
Okay,
just
do you
check
have
the
it?
ceiling
I
height
think just so we
inside.
can just so we could formulate an approval, I think is the direction we're going. Can you give us a dimension that it would be workable with your program? To drop the top plate on those two?
I think we could do a foot. We may not be able to do more than that, just given the eave height. But a foot, I think we.
I think a foot is, yeah, that's very generous
make
and
a
helpful.
motion.
Okay, excellent. Ray will make an Exhibit A motion.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, after Abby has a.
So Val just pointed out that there's a choice between those two colors. It's an option of wineberry or sage. Do we have to talk about that?
I think we should, by a show of hands, Sage. Okay, so I think we've got it.
Is that sage?
Yeah,
Good, fine.
okay. Ray's
I
motion.
don't care. Okay, so my motion is to approve this as submitted with a couple of little notations. One being that the trim would be sage green, which is actually what we see in the rendering, so that's convenient. Two would be, this is a little more complicated, I'm getting, as seen from the west elevation, the mass just to the right and to the left of the main mass, the eave would drop 1 foot on those two masses. That's my motion. And it
Can
would
I
be an Exhibit A.
second for discussion?
Go ahead.
Just the, Ray had specified sage for the trim, but what we're talking about is the sash.
Is that,
The-
did I
the-
say
the trim
I'm
is
sorry.
natural to weather.
Yeah,
So it'll be the trim as proposed, the option of colors will be sage. And that's Ray's motion.
it is.
Excellent. So on the motion, Ray,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Angus.
Aye.
Abby.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
so
you for
much.
working with us on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's gonna be a nice building.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like a little bit of a point of order. So, you know, we passed some people over, and I just, since that application, a number of people, well,
Yeah, I
I don't
think he's
even
got a
look
shot.
for, but we did pass over an application or two, I'm just
Let's see.
pointing that out.
Passed over, these are all holds. 6 Winoma Way is the group that we.
62.
62. Pardon me?
Was that an Exhibit A?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ray's gonna
yeah,
do it.
I'll,
Yeah. Do we have Winoma Way?
there's
Okay.
no Pierce.
So they're, okay,
There are
so
some
8
people,
Shimo,
I'm sorry, there are some people online, I don't know if they're here for it, that they don't match the agenda. There's some names. So
okay.
anyway.
Well, if you are here to speak on an application and it comes up, please raise your hand. And we'll hopefully see you. 8 Shimo Pond Road,
Mirka is online.
Miraca, good evening, good afternoon.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah,
I think this is Lisa's project, so.
okay, you're gonna recuse, or agent?
No, I'm not the agent. I know nothing about it, but Mirka's
Okay.
there. I'm just going to recuse.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry, so I'm on. Good evening. If I can share even my screen?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a pretty straightforward application for a 6-feet board fence. Give me a second, it's popping up. Let me know when it comes. Oh, is it not coming up? What did I do? Can you see it or not? I don't think so. You can see it still. Just did one more time. My apologies.
Mirka, we saw it for a minute.
Oh, you did? Okay, so I
And
just.
then-
wanna
now
make
we
sure
don't
I
see
did
it.
I want to make sure I did a proper screen. So let me just wait for a second.
Stand by. There it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is the application for, that was the approval, but this is the application. This is all approved landscape. It's completed. We are only adding or asking for 6-feet fence along this property line. It would be along this part. And I didn't include this picture in application, but it's, I just did little drive by. Practically the neighbors next door has a more like a commercial use of the property. So the client just want to kind of gain more privacy. So this is what my client is looking at. This is already installed existing vegetation in place. And maybe it's a little bit hard to see, but I think that the fence more likely would start somewhere. We pushed it like 15 feet off the property corner, but we can would start somewhere here. And as the vegetation would mature, that would be fully screened. And I will go back to the plan so you can kind of see it. So it's really just this blue line.
I didn't get it.
Okay. Questions for Mirka?
Oh, I had a question about the distance from the property line to the fence. I see a dimension 33 feet, but that looks like it's from the east side of Shimo Pond Road.
That's correct. This is, it's 15 feet. We are keeping it 15 feet from this bound back. So if this is the property corner, I'm keeping it 15 feet back.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
That's gonna be
Connie, you're going to be on this one. Who'd like to begin?
I could go.
Abby?
Yeah, it's a long stretch of fence, and I see what America's talking about. What do we do about added vegetation? I wouldn't mind seeing something like that.
As the authority having jurisdiction, you can stipulate what it is you'd like, and that would be very helpful because then it will facilitate the knowing how to get the meeting going and keep it going.
Okay, so,
We didn't have the photos, so it was hard to make any
Yeah.
sort of judgment.
Okay, well, let's, Abby,
and I'm assuming that that you would be seeing the inside of the fence. Your property owners would be seeing the posts on.
That's correct.
Inside, okay. So, just to mitigate a lot of fencing, I would suggest some vegetation, say, every other post. Thank you.
thank you. Let's see, Val?
Yeah, I have nothing to add. If we had had the photos, it would have been easier to understand. And adding any sort of vegetation like we usually do every so many sections is a good idea.
Okay. Angus?
I agree with the idea of having every other section or every third section have some sort of vegetation on it, and I would want it to be back at least 20 feet from the property line.
What is 20 feet back from the property line?
Right now, it's 15.
Sorry, yeah, gotcha, okay.
Oh, do you mean in? No,
You mean-
from the road.
From the property line, at least 20 feet. Right now, it sounds like it's 15.
Actually,
Meaning
it's on the
this.
property line, and from the street, it's 15. Is that correct, Mirko?
Yes,
Okay, so I just want to make sure, for purposes of clarity, if this goes in 20 feet, Mirka, this is going to be inside the setback, correct?
yes, it's intended to be on the property line. The neighbor himself has already wire fence there as well.
Okay,
So
just for clarification. Okay,
I just want to clarify, so I'm talking about back from the street property line, not the sideline that it's showing the, being on the property line.
good, thank you. Okay, let's see, Connie?
Yeah, I have nothing else to add. I would be in favor also of added vegetation.
So can we get a motion to approve subject to minimum 20 feet from the street and plant material every third section?
So moved?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Mr.
opposed?
Chair, what's that yellow line there that goes across the driveway?
That was just the property line, what Angus was referring to.
Oh, okay, all right, I didn't have one on mine.
And you said 15 feet or 20, Angus?
20.
20.
20, okay. So Mirka, we're gonna look for another 5 feet there, okay?
No worry, no problem. I can mark up, is it through the staff approval, or we can just?
It'll be an Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
Angus has volunteered to complete, and he's working on it now. So
Perfect.
you'll just make a modification to the drawing to suit that.
And the vegetation's on both sides?
The vegetation, what we're doing, Mirka, is just cut a moon hole in the bottom where you're gonna put the vegetation, let it grow up both sides.
Will do. And as I just want to remind, like, this is already been installed in place, so we are planning to enhance the screening the minute we know we have a fence in place, so that's no problem.
Very nice. Thank you. We are now moving on to 7 Maple Lane.
Thank you.
I am also working on this.
Mr. Chair, through you to Matt. Do you want a screen share?
Yeah.
You have to log in. You have to, on the agenda.
Hey, Joe, can you sit on this?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So Matt, well, you're getting set up. Your board is gonna be Angus, Abby, myself, Ray, and Joe.
Great.
Is Connie in the-
So logged in.
Yeah, I'm promoting you. Stand by. Okay, you're all set.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There we go. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an application, this is a revision to a previous approval. It's 7 Maple Lane, so it's a development, residential development. It's been like 8 lots or whatnot. They're pretty much all built out. This project was started, and so it's the kind of middle of construction, or at the very beginning of construction, if you will. So anyways, it's a new owner, and the new owner has asked us to make some changes to it, fairly minor, but I'll just run through them very quickly. So the west elevation, which is the facade of the building, the face of the building, drawing 1, you can see that that's the proposed. We've clouded the changes we are proposing. You can see just below it to the left is the previously approved. So in terms of the overall massing schematic, not dramatically different, but again, just a response to the new owner's end user programmatic requirements. So center mass, massing change on the right side of the west elevation. We're extending that secondary additive mass to get some more square footage on the first floor and the second floor. Moving to the south elevation, again, the associated previous approved south elevation is just above it. So not a massive departure, but we did just cloud any changes that we were proposing to make. We did actually take some length off the building. You can see that covered porch. We changed the location of that. Again, that's a side elevation and kind of telescoping towards the back of the structure. So I don't think much is going to be really visible behind the facade, if you will, but just running through the changes nevertheless. East elevation, again, the comparative elevation is just below it to the left side. You can see where we relocated that exterior covered porch. It was previously telescoping towards the east, and now it's going off the north. North elevation, again, you can see we took the length off that exterior porch. Some fenestration changes. We did a second floor deck, but don't really believe that's going to be visible from anywhere just because it's behind the massing. And we've got just a couple of perspectives just to show you what the overall massing schematic looks like. Again, trim details are essentially the same, and so it's really slight massing change on the facade and some secondary additive massing changes on the other elevations. So with that, look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Matt. Just a quick question. You were on that chimney, you did the 3-2-10 rule, so 3 feet. Basically, within 10 feet, you're no more than 2 feet high above it? Okay. It just looks, something looks a little odd.
Looks a little tall.
Okay. And the other question on that is if you look at the rendering, exterior perspective sheet A2, 3, 25, 14 versus elevation north on the prior sheet, and the east elevation on that sheet, the elevations versus the perspective seems to be a square chimney, which actually seems to work much better. Which is it that will, I presume the elevation drawings are what's proposed?
They are, but if you prefer the square, we can stick with that. I'm not sure why that perspective looks like it's square. There might be, honestly, an optical illusion. Your eyes might be deceiving you, but
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah, no, but it's a 3D, it's a Revit model, so it models it based off the elevation. So it is drawn as a rectangular shape, but we could certainly make it square.
Okay, just wanted to put that out there. Ray, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I could. I'm digesting this, but the one thing that kind of leaps out at me and wondering if there's any visibility is the fact that in front of this is conspicuously 1.5 stories, but then the rear L that projects back has gone to 2 stories, which is evident from the north and the south elevations. But also on the east, we're looking at 2 gable roofs that are now 6.5 and 12 roof pitches, which is, seriously atypical. But I think that, I'm looking at like this site, trying to ascertain, and I trust Matt when he says that we're probably not gonna see that portion of the building. You know, there's not a heck of a lot of vegetation in this neighborhood in general, simply because it's so new. That's really my only comment. I mean, what's happening to the front of the house, I think, is approvable, you know, the part that we're gonna see most readily. Oh, no. I was unrecorded, but you guys got the gist.
Okay.
Here we go.
So we got the gist, and we're gonna go to Joe, right?
Yeah, I reviewed this for consent, and I actually overall I thought the changes were an improvement, but I thought that they were extensive enough that we ought to review them as a group. I think that moving away from being the house of the 7 shed dormers into having some 2-story mass off the back actually simplifies it a little bit, and I think that the gable on the front, for me, gives a little bit more hierarchy than having those shed dormers that were previously approved, kind of all, they're close together there. So I think that the street facade is really what we're going to see. And what gave me pause putting it on consent were the changes off the back. But having looked at it before the meeting, I'm convinced that we're really not going to see much of what's in the back. So I'm fine with the changes. Thanks.
Okay. Hey, Abby?
I didn't have any, I actually like the changes. Thank you.
Not to belabor this, but Angus?
I agree with what's been said. I think for the most part, these are improvements, and the hierarchy is improved with that middle gable. I was just looking at all the street images. I take it that's, there are quite a few that have sort of this configuration with the 3 windows on the second floor and the window in the gable, and it's sort of being, you know, 2.5 stories, sort of street forward. And looking for some variation in the neighborhood so that there's, you know, they're not all the same. Yeah, I think for the most part, it's an improvement. Thank you.
Yep, it's approvable. Motion?
I'd make a motion to approve as submitted.
Actually, I'll second that. Matt, can we get turn that, what I would consider overly wide rectangle into a square?
Sure.
Joe, are you amenable to that? The chimney?
That would be fine.
Okay.
We're also changing to gray trim from white, which you guys would
Pardon me?
appreciate. It's a gray trim.
Versus white?
It was approved originally as white.
So, Angus, will you annotate the restriction conditions to indicate gray trim versus white? What gray?
It's pebble gray.
Pebble gray?
It's
That's
on the
part of the
application. Yeah, it's on the
Oh, okay.
application. I just wanted, that's something I think this board
Oh, as opposed to
appreciates.
the prior approval?
Yeah, so it's
Gotcha.
noted and requested on the application. I just wanted to point that out
Okay.
as
So
an extra.
that the chimney will be downsized so that it's square to the shorter side, and we don't need to do anything on the color. On Angus's motion, Angus?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, thanks, everyone. 27 Woodbury Lane.
There's the.
You back, Val?
Mhm.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Tori.
Nope, okay, I'm good.
So we have Holly's comments,
Yep,
and
I've read them.
you're looking to put a skirt on the roof walk.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're looking to replace the roof walk as is in like kind and add a skirt as a new feature. And I've read Holly's comments and had a conversation with her as well.
Okay. Is Mickey here? Is this one? This is outside the,
I'm here, Stephen.
did you guys have anything on this?
No, we have no concerns.
Okay. Does anyone have any concerns with this?
I did.
Abby?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, no, I don't understand how you're going to do the skirt. I think it's quite creative how they've actually put this together around the dormers. And the ones that do have a skirt, they look a little heavy. So I kind of like the way it is now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Angus, I'll just go through them.
I think, yeah, I mean, skirts are discouraged in the OHD, so I would prefer at least the street face is, remains skirtless.
Okay, thanks. Val?
I love a skirt.
I'm not going to comment on that comment. My only concern with the skirt on this is given the layout of the dormers, if you look at the imagery, it is going to create a circumstance that is very atypical, and I don't think it would be appropriate. I'm not concerned with, sometimes we have one on the back. I don't know if they're looking for cleaner, better access or something that I wouldn't have a concern with given its location and lack of visibility, but on the front, you're basically going to have a skirt that's cut out around the dormer rooms, and it's going to be strange. So that's my concern with this one. Ray?
Well, I think it was Abby said she likes it the way it is. I like it the way it is too. Would I not like it if it had a skirt? I think it would be fine. Interesting thing is generally, when we're doing a skirtless roof walk like this, we're asking, demanding actually, that the hatch is in the back. Right now, we're looking at the hatch and a big gaping opening up there, which would disappear if there were a skirt. And the skirt, if it were to get approved, at least by me, would be gray, vertical board spaced, and, that would contrast and allow the shape of the roof walk as we see it now to sort of prevail as white. In other words, the skirt boards would infill between the posts. And that is something you do see around, so this would not be the first time we approve something like that. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm not sure who wants what, so how about a motion, we'll see where it lands.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
For Ray, review. Natural to weather?
Oh, that's
skirt?
fine, yeah, that's fine
Because the
too.
roof is.
Yeah, just as long as there's that contrast, so it's
Right.
like one of these is all white, which is,
Right,
ooh,
right, right.
that's harsh, that's heavy, yeah.
And it's a red cedar roof,
Yep.
so red cedar natural to weather.
Right.
Okay, do I sense a motion, Val?
Can try. Motion to approve with the skirt being natural to weather red cedar so it blends in with the roof and leaving the posts and the trim of the roof walk white.
Great.
I would second that motion to just add a little detail to it. And that is just so that it doesn't look like the posts are painted on a gray skirt, is that the boards would be set back, like if the framing went on the back side of the posts, that then the boarding would go onto that, so that there would be a good 2 3/4 to 3 inches of depth of those posts being forward of it.
Okay, so it's gonna be a cladding on the interior, did you catch that?
I did, yeah, post forward of the proposed natural to weather.
But
Boarding.
just for clarification, Angus, you're not proposing a change in the locations of the post. You're simply saying the skirt needs to be inset. And I would suggest 1.5 inches minimum. A 2x4 flipped on the side would be good, 3 1/4. Okay.
Maybe that should be an exhibit A.
I think so. Are you okay with that as an amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, Exhibit A, motion for natural to weather skirt with the skirt inset from the existing footprint, some 2.5 or so inches around the perimeter, relative to the posts.
Angus will do the Exhibit A.
Angus on the Exhibit A, on the motion, Val.
Aye.
Actually, we can do all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm a no, Abby's a no for the record. Carries 3-2.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we are on to, I just want to mention, guys, for the purposes of, doing our jobs effectively, but also it's a beautiful evening.
Jinx it.
I want to give us a target. Time expands to fit the time, tasks, the time it takes to complete a task expands to fit the time allotted. So why don't we say instead of 8:30, we want to be out of here by 7:30, which gives us plenty of time to go through the next 14 applications. Okay? Just be cognizant of the fact that we don't need to dawdle and be succinct and non-repetitive.
I think you jinxed it.
I'm gonna go with, I didn't jinx it. 71 Pocomo Road, new chimney,
Mr.
windows and doors.
Mr. Chair, who's online? Warren Fisher.
Warren, good evening. Oh, no pizza till after we finish the meeting. How's that?
Oh, come on.
That's a great one.
Good evening. How are you all doing?
Put me in a slip.
Good evening. If you could quickly walk us through your application, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. Our client is looking to replace all the windows in the house. They're past their lifespan, so we're replacing, I'd say 95% of those in kind. There's a few that are just expanding slightly. The other aspect of the existing conditions that we're trying to update are there seems to be an overabundance of columns on the front and back of this house that we're trying to simplify and just make a little more streamlined and proportional to the elevation. The upper level of that photo you have up on the screen with the eyebrow window, we're taking away the eyebrow window and just going with a square top door. And the last item is if you scroll down, I think to the next photo, in the on the right side, there's an existing octagonal bay that we're expanding slightly to make a larger interior space. And while doing so, rebuilding the chimney to in the interior of the plan, just be centered in the room rather than a quarter fireplace.
Okay. So guys, if you haven't previewed, the red is demo, you can go right to the blue, and that's what's being proposed.
And there's a few renderings down towards the end of what it will look like.
Yes.
And you can see in our larger sheets, we did a sheet so you could see that it's not very visible from really Pocomo Road and barely visible from the beach side.
Okay, thank you. I think you're going to get pushback on the segmentation of the roof block, but other than that, Val, you want to begin?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm looking at the blue and trying to understand, I apologize that I don't, like on the north elevation, there's some railing, there's some that's shingled with little railing on top, or is that behind? I'm not really sure.
Sorry. So on the left side is we're rebuilding the existing condition, which has a small shingle cheek wall with a small railing on top of it. We're mirroring that existing condition on the right side of that elevation.
So in plan view, that is Warren. Is there somebody who could shut somebody off?
It's on his end.
Warren, can you?
Yeah, do you want me to share my screen?
No. There was someone talking in the background. It's just a little
sorry,
bit,
hold on one second.
So we're going to go to, please, sheet A-10.
Be quiet over there, please.
Fiona, can we go to sheet A10, the floor plan, and focus on the upper? So here it is.
It's just all over the place.
This
Yeah.
shows it better.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, that sheet there. Yeah.
Okay, so basically what you're saying, Warren, is that in elevation,
Yeah, that elevation.
proposed elevation, that you've got a kind of a knee wall with a segmented balustrade, and then inset toward the center, you have the full balustrade.
Correct.
Balustrade, okay.
Yeah, there's an existing corner bench, built-in bench on the plan there that you can see. And we're just trying to, on the face of the elevation, make those things symmetrical on that facade.
Okay, and it's not showing in the rendering, is it? Or is it?
Yes, it is on the in the 3D rendering. It should be.
Just to fit this one to bed, in terms of having seen it. I can't get the rendering to come up. I don't know why.
It's at the end.
Yeah, it won't get that last page. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
No, it's
A5.1.
Okay,
Okay.
5.2. Okay, any other questions, Val? And would you like to comment?
I'm still trying to compare them all. Is there an increase in the fenestration on the north as well? You know what I mean? If it had
Yeah.
what it is and then what's changing, it would be easier.
So Warren, just for future reference, I don't know if you're ever gonna be in our neck of the woods. What we try to do is have an 1/8 scale inset of the existing or prior approved next to the 1/4 scale of what's proposed, so that it's very simple for commissioners to compare and contrast.
Okay.
It's just a reference for you for the future.
Sure.
And on the north elevation, is there additional fenestration?
Yeah, there is a significant increase.
What do you mean by fenestration? Doors and windows?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Look at what's existing.
No, you go to the blue and I'll stay on the red. Look at how blue and red can work together. Isn't that amazing?
We've added.
Those are separate. Those are all separate.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So we can compare, okay. So Warren, on your north elevation, to the left of the French doors, you've got some smaller a set of 4 double hungs that are being removed, and you're putting in a group of 5, it looks like, casements.
Yes.
On the right-hand side, you're grouping the 4 double hungs versus having 3 double hungs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to be clear on what we're looking at. Okay, Bill, go ahead.
The red one.
The red one.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. I don't have any real concerns. I just wanted to understand it.
Okay, well, that's the
Yeah.
important part. And then if you have a concern.
Yeah. So on the where you said the grouping of 4.
Warren,
Yeah.
hold on a sec. We're gonna go to Ray.
I don't have any real concerns either.
Okay. Abby? Angus? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. We are now on to 15 Marsh Hawk Lane,
Thank you.
hardscape. Thank you. All right. Good evening, Tori.
Good evening again.
Patio 4x12. Okay.
Yeah, we've had a couple conversations, couple different applications with the pool.
Tori, just before we get started, what was the result of this is for revisions to hardscape, or this is for?
No, this is a
hardscape?
new application for hardscaping, details that they would like to do.
Okay, and is the pool then approved?
Yes,
Okay, that's what I thought, but I
Yep.
wanted to make sure. Okay.
and the patio around it.
Okay, thank you.
We're
Go
adding a
ahead.
small section of patio, a couple areas of fence, and a small retaining wall.
And the little building has already been approved?
The shed,
Yeah.
yes, separate application.
That's why I was confused, because all that's.
Sorry, I did include it in the bubble, or Grayson did, I apologize.
Whiteout is cheap,
Yes.
we encourage the
Understood.
use of it. Thank you. Okay, so does anyone have any concerns with this?
No.
No.
No? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay,
I
that
guess
carries.
I'm opposed.
Thank you.
actually.
We are on to 19 North Water Street. Paul, good evening.
Yeah, you want to, it's under my name. Yep.
You might want to start the timer on this guy.
I like to talk.
Go ahead, Paul, when you're ready.
All right, Paul Bowler, Main Street Architects. I have Courtney Jazerski with Main Street Architects as well. And I have William O'Brien with NIR and NED here. We're here tonight for a couple applications. The first one is a alteration renovation to 19. We're looking to rejuvenate the North Water Street side of what was the formerly known as the Harbor House, currently White Elephant Resorts. The plan is to rehab the building from the inside out as best as we can. The roof itself would have to come off and be rebuilt, but everything else within there, we're going to try to salvage and reframe and sister in. Yep, not a problem. That's okay.
I'll fix it. There is feedback, I'll stop it. Sorry.
You want me to start over?
No, you're good. We haven't had any choruses from the YouTube, so you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, not a problem. So this is kind of the hotel over the years has gone forward with a lot of renovations to the back for the patio, the fitness, kind of the lobby to the hotel. This is kind of the last remaining piece on the North Water side that they kind of want to give it its second life. We do want to use it for housing. It is attached to the hotel, so it will be sprinkled. There'll be a fire alarm as part of it as well. Courtney, can you scroll down to the existing pictures? So she can keep scrolling. But as you can see, we included existing pictures that kind of show that, from the North Water side, it was completely screened with a tall fence. It's obviously tired. It's seen its life for what it was before, so we want to rejuvenate that. Keep scrolling down. We also tried to pay attention. Obviously, this building is not just disconnected by itself. It's connected to the hotel, which has its own kind of unique characteristics as well. So we tried to go through the neighborhood as best as we could and try to find something odd fenestration-wise that worked with what we were trying to do and kind of come up with something that we thought was the best fit for reuse or a rehome of this structure. So having said that, we're here to answer any questions on behalf of that.
Thank you. So we have Holly's comments, and Nikki, do your group have anything?
Yes, we do. So this building is pretty old. It's got a stone foundation. So and it does show up on the earliest Sanborn map. So it'd be nice just to know how old the building is, just be able to compare it to what we're seeing now. The windows, when you look at the west elevation, if you could scroll to that view, please. I think it's slide 11. First of all, the windows are noted as Andersons, which we probably don't want down there. We wanted wood TDL. Could you go down to the architectural drawing for the west elevation? There you go. Just zoom in on that upper left. That'd be great. So something about the scale of the drawing feels off, and I think the windows are, they're identified as 3 feet by 6 feet, which is kind of large, not too bad, but maybe just one size too wide or too tall. And I think when you look at the door on the lower left compared to the window next to it, the door must be a very short door for that to actually even work. And then it's shown as a symmetrical or center 3-bay house, which is really quite unusual for downtown Nantucket. Normally a 3-bay house the door would be to the left or the right. It would be a kind of a typical half house with the door to the side. So that's really my comment. I think the door should move over, the windows scale down, and the colors aren't identified, but I assume it's going to be white. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who'd like to begin?
I have a question.
Val?
Did this used to be like the laundry
Yeah.
for the Yeah.
White elephant?
Ever since I've been through the building, it's pretty well gutted inside. The only thing I could find through all the research through HCC and building was there was full bathrooms in there with showers and segregated rooms, so that's all I could find on the old use. Even through my historic with Holly, I couldn't really find anything that honed in on that specific spot.
Thank you.
problem.
I think the building that's there is not particularly pleasing, for lack of a better word, in the fabric of the neighborhood. Aside from scaling down the windows, I agree with that. They seem very large. Maybe the door on the west that's going into what's a shed could be like a batten door or something. That's my only concerns. And the north and south, maybe the windows could be butted together instead of separate, but that's it. Thank you.
Ray?
I agree with Mickey's comments, particularly about the Andersons and the size of the windows. They do seem kind of wide, bordering, heading towards square. Agree with Val on the type of door on the shed. That's a good roof batten door. Val, were you talking about mulling the double windows in the gable ends? Is that what you were suggesting? Yeah, that's not a bad idea, because in a case like that, normally they would be mulled. Generally this board's discouraging mulled windows, but in this case, I think it would work. Those are my comments.
Great, thanks. Let's see, Angus?
I agree with the comments about reducing the size of the windows, changing the side door so that it doesn't replicate the front door as seen in the west elevation, and reducing that window in that, I guess it would be that north shed as seen in the west elevation, to a smaller window than the ones for the rest of the facade. And I appreciate the the improvement on this structure. I do think it's more historically appropriate to have shingled between the windows and the gable end. Probably be better to have a single window than two, but if it's going to be two, I would keep the shingles as shown. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Abby.
Yeah. Well, I agree about the size of the windows, that they're going towards chiclet, so a little more vertical, a little smaller. And yeah, the storm door on the little shed, and to the right of that A window, it shouldn't be an A, it should just be a smaller 6/6.
Can you just explain to me which one, Abby? Sorry.
In your shed to the
west
left,
elevation, on the shed
right to the
form.
left.
you have an A window there. That should just be a much smaller size. I can't come up with a size off
I'll
the top
deal
of my
with it
head.
for you. No problem. When you get there. Anything else, Abby?
No, thank you.
Okay. So, we're gonna be looking for a motion to decrease the window size, all the As by a size in height and width, or just width?
Well, personally, I feel like the width is the larger issue. So it would be like height down one size, width down two sizes, so we get vertically formatted again. Excuse me.
Understood,
So
scale
heights-
wise.
Height down one, width down two. That'll be all the As other than is noted further. On the west elevation, the A to the right of the door that is in the shed form mass would be down two sizes in height and I guess 4 sizes in width. If we're talking about an inch a piece, that's not dramatic, but it makes a big difference.
Understood.
We can talk about these more, I'm just trying to put some stuff on this. The shed mass door to either be batten or a storm that's batten, and color to match the doors. The windows we've addressed size, these would be TDL, either a Boston sash or Green Mountain or a Norwood or the like. And let's see, what else? Those will have a traditional sill detail versus a picture frame is drawn. is also not helping the, just so you're aware, Paul.
Yep.
That is not helping the presentation. If we didn't pick up on it, it makes a difference.
Understood. We'll see.
And the south and north elevations, those will be, the A's will be structurally mauled. And was there anything else?
No.
And is that an exhibit A that I can write on the pizza break?
Can I, in the color section of the application, it just says painted wood, so we're looking, I think, for white for the trim and for the sash.
Correct.
White trim and sash, unless, Paul, what do you've got something you want to offer?
No, white was the intent.
And
The
what about door color?
Yeah, white as well, or dark green,
Yeah, dark green's good.
so like an Essex green.
Essex green.
Perfecto.
Abby?
You mean I?
Yeah, you're right. Well, you seemed like.
So I'm a little nervous about doing this, juggling the dimensions of the window.
I'm totally comfortable with it myself.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure we
Just
get it right.
Being in the industry.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
And if Ray's comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. Are
I
you
am,
comfortable?
yeah.
In addition, does that help you or no?
No, I'm
Not to
good.
persuade you, but I just.
I'm good. I didn't want to be arbitrary about it.
Yeah, no, I get you. All right, so that's an exhibit A, and Val, is that your motion, and I'll draw it up?
Yeah, that's my
Okay,
motion.
So, all in favor, say aye.
Per Exhibit A by Steve.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously.
And I guess the fence goes, right?
Okay, so now the hardscape.
It's really just the fence.
Yeah, and some planting.
And do we,
Oh, and the brick driveway.
yeah. Mickey, do you guys have any concerns with that?
Just a couple comments.
Okay.
So the privacy fence where it's shown, if you look at the site plan, there's, back behind this building, there's a large generator. And the concern is that the location of the privacy fence is too far away from the generator to really hide it well enough. So maybe if that's pushed back or made taller, something, further back probably to really hide it's a tall generator. Also, the width of the driveway is not given, but it looks wider than necessary. A planting strip along the side of the house would soften that appearance. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. Concerns, anyone?
It's the type 2 picket on the street, on the sidewalk there?
My concern would be the 6-foot fence going all the way to the sidewalk.
Oh, it's not.
It does say existing.
That might be the existing plan, Angus. The plan was to take that fence and move it back to screen the generator from the corner of the White Elephant Resort. It's kind of halfway up on that plan. And then it's to carry a type 2 fence across that connects to the existing type 2 fence.
And that's shown on sheet A3 versus
Correct.
EX3, right?
Yep.
I don't have that.
So that brings the fence, just to give a verbal narrative to the 6-foot fence, to back behind the midpoint of the structure from the street,
Correct.
which is consistent with our guidelines.
This is type 2 picket.
Yeah.
Any other comments, Angus?
Yeah, I mean, the 6-foot fence is usually between properties and not usually facing the street. I would rather it go back toward the back of the building if that's gonna be facing the street. And I really appreciate the change of the vertical board fence in front, turning to a type 2 that's 2 feet tall to match adjacent fences.
Okay, thanks. Let's see, Val.
I like it the way it's being proposed, because looking at the picture of what you can see of that generator, it's right there. Like, I think that will screen it.
I'm going to speak on that.
Okay.
Anything else, Phil?
No. I like the idea Mickey said of putting a planting bed next to the house and
Yeah,
making
even if
the-
it's a 1-footer, it's
Right,
gonna soften it
right,
up.
yep.
You can put some, climbing euonymus there. Ray?
So, though I appreciate the idea of moving the 6-foot-high fence back, the way perspective works is if the 6-foot-high fence was right on the street, you would 100% not see the generator, because your eyes are at 5.5 feet or so. The further it moves back, the closer it moves to the generator, assuming the generator is higher than 6 feet, which it is, the more you're gonna see it. If the fence were like 2 inches away from the generator, you'd see everything above the fence. So the idea of having it where they've located, where you folks have located, I think is a good one because it kind of splits the difference. We don't want too close to the road for reasons mentioned, but I think that moving it further back is not going to serve the purpose. It's going to run counter to it. So I'm okay with it the way it is.
Okay, let's see, who did I miss? Anyone but me?
I think you missed me.
Abby, I'm sorry.
I don't understand the 2-foot painted wood fence to match. I mean, aren't the type
Type 2.
Type 2 picket, could they just say that on there? Because 2 feet, type 2 picket is taller than 24 inches.
Yeah, Paul, just clarify on your A3 at the front, the notation indicates new 2-foot. Yeah. Painted wood, I think it's meant to indicate new type.
Type 2, that's a mistake, sorry.
Oh, that's an error.
It's to match the type 2 that's currently already there, sorry.
Okay. So.
Yeah, but it has to be changed on the
It sounds
drawing.
like we just wanna, I think the generator's legitimate concern, given that the modification of the fence. My only concern would be that I would like to add into the approval that if, once the fence is installed, the 6-foot fence is installed, that the generator is visible from the street to any extent, that's, just looks, if more than 4 square feet of the generator is exposed, a freestanding lattice panel would be installed adjacent to the generator, subject to manufacturer's requirements, close to it, as tall as the generator, and then that would address it. You can plant something on it if you want, it's still gonna vent. Plant material, minimum of a 1-foot wide bed at the foundation of the house. And I think that covers it, right?
And just change that to type 2 picket.
And yeah, that's what I got. Angus?
I was going to suggest like an evergreen, like a holly or cedar or something to screen the generator,
The only, if I may.
as opposed to lattice.
The only thing I may is the proximity of the structure and the generator to one another, and then you're gonna need to be able to, like, they can erect a lattice panel freestanding, it doesn't need to be connected to anything, that the lattice panel itself can be removed if they need to work on the generator, which a lot of times happens, whereas plant material is gonna take up a lot of space, and I am trying to address your comment without persuading you, but I think there's practical application considerations why plant material would be difficult.
You might have meant in front of the fence.
I know, that's what
I
I was
did.
hoping for.
You meant where?
In front of the fence, if there's any of the generator that's sticking up behind the fence, that you screen it in front of the
Yeah.
fence.
I guess so, yeah, I'm not a big fan of putting up a fence and then hiding it, that's all. Maybe behind
Well.
it, and then you get a
All
variation.
that red cedar for
texture.
nothing.
Yeah, but, okay, Val,
I have to make the motion?
yeah,
Okay, I will try. Motion to approve per Exhibit A, with a 1-foot planting bed along the driveway foundation. And that's it, I think, right?
and if the generator, more than 4 square feet of the generator is visible, to erect a freestanding lattice panel adjacent to the generator. Vertical, horizontal, not diagonal.
Not diagonal, yep, understood.
and Ray.
And the changing of the language from 2 foot to type 2.
Okay,
Correct.
and that too. Who's going to do the Exhibit A?
I'll do it with you.
Okay. That's my motion.
Let's see, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
All right, so now we're on to number 5. No, I'm sorry, number 6, 3-step lane harbor.
It doesn't look like Hans is in the queue.
Oh, is it? We're gonna actually take a break for 11 minutes. I don't want this to affect our 7:30 deadline, folks.
It won't.
And I'll work on the exhibit As. Maybe you can, will you chair, before we come back, and I'll write up the others?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Thank you.
He's not.
It's really easy, though.
Well, Connie, oh no. Carrie held it. Yeah, we could do it. Well, Ray, your turn. You decide.
Look, let's go for it, and then if we figure it needs an applicant, we'll just hold for rep, okay? All right, folks.
Do you want to pull Joe in and Connie since Abby's not here for a
Yeah.
couple of these?
Yeah. Joe, you're there, right? Just making sure. 1, 2, 3. Is there any, Joe? Well, oh, hey, Joe, you're muted, friend.
Okay.
Well, here's Abby is back.
Okay.
So for now, until the unmute thing comes down, we'll regular board X Stephen plus Connie, and we're gonna try out 3-step lane.
All it is the gate. I'm assuming the other hardscaping came in separately. This is all they're applying for is the gate.
You'd have to read Holly's comments. I didn't review this.
Good idea.
I meant to ask Holly about this because she's suggesting that this is a revision to an existing COA as opposed to a new application.
Am I on this?
Yeah,
Just
you
as a
are.
practical matter, guys, if someone wanted to put in a new application for an element that's previously approved or a part of a different one, we can still process it. It doesn't, for whatever reason they want to put in for something like that, we can still proceed.
Okay, there's no applicant. Holly's, basically, I'll sum it up. She says, recommendation 1, arbor to be white to match property. 2, approval is a revision to HTC certificate, blah, 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 and to be noted on COA app. Okay. Actually, is Mickey, do you have anything on this?
We had no concerns, but there was a choice of the smaller or larger one. We prefer the smaller one.
Okay, thanks, Mickey. So board, Angus, Abby, Val, myself, Connie. Who would like to begin?
So I'm on this?
Yep,
Okay.
if you'd
I
like
have
to
a-
be.
I have a question, where that shows a picture of the arbor. It says 5 foot or 4 foot.
That's what Mickey was referring to.
Right, but how can you have a 5 foot?
Wide.
It's the width.
Oh,
Wide.
wide.
Yeah.
But then 8 feet tall. Okay, so I would prefer the narrower one, like 4 feet. And I think 8 feet sounds about right. Get some bouncing basketball players coming through there.
Well, it's where the arch starts, you kind of need to have the height there and
Yeah,
then.
to the top.
go
Okay,
up.
so I'd be fine with I think it's more historic for 4 feet wide. Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. And painted
And
white.
painted white.
Yeah, all right. Comments, anybody else?
The only thing that I would comment on is it's an application for a gate and it doesn't show a gate, it shows an arbor. But if you go to Holly's information, it showed a pre-existing gate, so I guess we're going with the assumption that it's gonna look like
So the
what was
arbor will
there.
have a gate in it.
Right.
Mr. Chair, just through you, they signed it up as an arbor. That's why it's on the agenda as an arbor. But it could have been like a typo on the application.
Okay, but you're good, Val?
Yeah.
Angus, anything?
I agree with what's been said, 4 feet white. And I mean, if it's just the arbor, we can approve the arbor, and if they want to bring doors back to us, so be it.
Okay. Connie, anything?
No, 4 feet white sounds appropriate.
All right, so it sounds like the motion would be to approve the 4-foot version of this painted white Would somebody like to make that motion for me?
So moved.
Okay, Angus has made a motion to approve this as a 4-foot wide arbor painted white. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, there's that. Now Val's repping the next one at 15 Fair.
Jeez.
Do we have, is Joe with us yet?
Joe's here, yes.
You're there, okay, great. So
15
Joe, you're gonna
Fair.
sit on this one, 15 Fair,
Okay,
you and Connie both. So Angus, Abby, Joe, Connie, myself. Joe, Paul, let's see, Val Oliver, go ahead.
Okay, this is an can you hear me? Yeah? An application for taking the garage door out that faces School Street and making it a French door that looks like the one directly next to it, which doesn't have a kick panel. So we're asking to match what's there. I believe I gave you pictures. And then it's to add the historic shutters back to the building. And they wanted to paint the clapboard white. They wanted glossy white. And Holly recommendation was not glossy. And the front door Hamilton blue. Let me see. Hamilton blue, and they wanted the shutters Hamilton blue, but Holly's recommendation was a darker shutter, like that was formerly on there if you look at the historic pictures. The only thing they do not want to do, because the trim is white now, they don't want to go back to the dark trim that matched the dark shutters. So that's what it is.
All right. Val, thank you. Mickey?
Yes, so the painting the clapboard white feels pretty formal for that neighborhood, so we try to avoid that, I would think. And adding the second set of French doors adds a lot of glazing to that elevation. I think a single door and a window would be more appropriate. That's it, thanks.
Okay, Mickey, thank you. And now it's over to the board.
Mr. Chair, I have a
Yes,
question or a
Connie.
comment. I had this on my consent. I believe it's already painted white, the front.
It's creamy.
Yeah, I think they want white.
It's white.
Oh, it already, so it's a,
The side is the yellow, but the front is white.
No kidding. Val, can you speak to that?
I can't.
So it's a whatchamacallit, as-built?
I don't know.
As
It is
painted?
white, and the door looks like it's Hamilton blue.
Oh.
I mean, it looks nice.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we view it?
I'll make that motion.
So funny.
Because I walk there every morning, and I'm like, oh, that's white.
Okay, so between the time I put this in, we did it. I haven't been by there, so,
I think that's a good
This is
idea.
Foley Vaughn's house, right?
yeah, it was, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a picture, but you can't really see the difference in the color.
You know what, I think that's actually a good idea, Connie, to have people view it, because I also think that's gonna help you with the French door that added where the garage
yeah.
door is, because the
All right.
fence is really high there, I don't think it's gonna be.
Okay.
And I do have another question. The base looks like, the foundation looks, I don't know if it's a black or a very dark, like Essex green. So that was my other question.
Sometimes the painters actually mix a can of black and a can
Okay.
of Essex green.
I think it's black, but
Okay,
let's-
it looks black, but yeah.
Well, so I like the idea of a view. Is everybody okay with that? Just to
Yeah,
kind of
because-
check this, because all the photos show kind of a creamy white.
Yeah, I used the photos from the sale of the house, so
Hmm.
between then and
All right.
Yeah, that's definitely the color of the side of the house now, and the front is white.
So funny. Okay.
And I'll ask.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
I'd like to make a motion to view, also because I want to imagine the streetscape, because Folger blue is going to be a very demanding color. So my motion is to call for a view.
Okay. Okay, let's see. On Abby's motion to hold for review, Angus,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Connie,
Aye.
and I'm a Steve. Okay.
So will that come back?
Yeah, so can we just have it back next week? Next Tuesday?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, thank you, Val. Let's see, Ben? Hello, Ben.
Good evening, everybody.
7 Pleasant.
So we're at 7 Pleasant Street. This is the Isaac Macy House, originally built in 1822. A historically significant or individually significant structure, federal style home, built in 1822, like I said. The history of the house indicates that it had a major renovation in 1928. That probably created much of the rear L, or the first piece of the rear L. And then in the 1980s, it went through another, it was very neglected in the 60s, 70s, I guess. Then in the 1980s, it was purchased by another, the previous owner, who did a major restoration of it. At that point, there was a file sent to the National Park Service under the Preservation Certificate application. I've submitted that. And then in the mid-90s, it went through another round of renovation, which added or modified the rearest of L's. So the house does kind of evolve over time. Our proposal in front of you tonight is really to bring back the house to a really period moment, to maintain obviously the front main block. Very little changes, obviously no changes on the streetscape or anything visible. And then some minor fenestration changes and small additions on the side and rear. And I'm happy to walk through those with you, but hopefully the plans speak for themselves.
Okay, Ben. Mickey?
Yes, so it appears that most of the work is being done to the back of the building, which really won't be visible. So we really didn't have any concerns with this.
Okay, that's saying a lot. Thank you. Board, did I establish the board? So, we're regular board plus Joe.
That makes me irregular.
Yeah,
If you want, I'll go.
all right, Val.
I have no concerns.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Who's next?
I can go because I'm going to say ditto.
Wow.
My only concern is in the north elevation with the number 5 windows. It feels like they're a little too tightly clustered, which leaves kind of an awkward shingle area, kind of on the street side of that east window, or the left one if you're looking at the north elevation. It looks like that could get spread out a little bit.
Angus, can you, which windows on the north?
Of the mudroom addition. So if we
Yeah.
go to the north elevation, who's controlling it? Is that you, Fiona? Oh, north elevation, yeah. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, just this part here, it seems like it's feeling more like a cluster of windows, which seems atypical with the rest of the original portion. So if if it's possible to pull those away a foot or so, I think it would work more with the rhythm of what's existing. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Is that, I'm looking for the plan, Ben. Is that something you can easily?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to center things internally, but that's just a wish on the internal that it's lined up with interior doors and view corridors inside, but you know, we could also think about a trellis type of feature on that corner there. That kind of exists on the house as is. There's kind of trellis work in some areas that might soften that corner a little bit without actually moving the window. That would be
The corner closest to the road, you mean?
yeah, if we did a little lattice feature there with some, you know, climbing vegetation.
All right, well, let's see, Joe?
Yeah, did this earlier, and I have a few comments. It sounds like I might be in the minority, and it sounds like it might not be visible, but here they are. Looking at the north elevation, the thing that struck me is that this addition that's happening on the second floor is essentially happening over a sunroom or an enclosed porch, and those windows on the first floor of that are 2/2s. And it made me think that the second floor fenestration should potentially also be 2/2 so that it feels a little bit like it was a stacked 2-story porch that's been enclosed. And that made me question whether or not the second floor footprint, whether or not it should contract in all directions, like 6 to 12 inches, so that a little bit more of that little roof that's evident was visible. And you got a little bit more of a sense of this being a porch that had been enclosed on both floors. And I think that might echo, I don't know if Holly said that exactly, but she did allude to whether or not the hip roof should be a flat roof, which you often see on the rear of houses along Orange Street. So I don't know if all that's visible, but I just thought that it might help the narrative a little bit to tweak that fenestration. And those are my comments.
Okay, so let's see. Did I hear from everyone on
I
this?
said ditto, but I like Joe's idea.
Okay, very good. I like Joe's idea, and I also like Angus's idea. I think those are good points. But I know this house. I'm sure we all know this house, and the back certainly is not visible. And I would say that the new little mudroom projection is like very, very obliquely visible at best. So those things, it's back to a comment I made much earlier in the meeting where it's like, you know, nice changes, but are they necessary for me to approve it? The answer is no. But what would we like to do, folks, on this one?
Well, I'll try a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Oh, okay. Let's try this out. Angus,
Aye.
was that an aye?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Abby.
Yeah, mine's an eye too.
Well, we already got it.
I
Joe?
mean, in a perfect world.
Joe?
Yeah, I hear what you say, Ray. So I'm an aye, but thanks for hearing me out.
Okay. Did I get you already, Val?
Aye.
All right, and Ray's an aye. So that motion carries unanimously. That's very interesting how it all worked out. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna jump back in.
Okay.
We'll go to 30 Coffin. Is Joe with us? Joe Topham? All right, Joe, you're up.
Hi, everyone. So this is Windy Knoll at 30 Coffin Street, Sisconset. It is a classic bungalow style wood frame house, open studs. You know, the doors are just 3/4 inch thick. It's kind of wild to walk through there. It's just a beautiful interior reflection of, you know, Sconset history and old school cottage. But one of the things they want to do is they would like to, at our first meeting was to insulate and wrap the walls. And one of the things we had over a few conversations was, how about just wrapping the outside with insulation? And, so what we would do is remove the windows and fenestration and then insulate from the outside. I just did that at Fort Jefferson and it worked out really well. It came up with a really great system. So it keeps all of the interior as is, and that's the goal. The other thing was when we removed the windows, we were hoping to upgrade those to insulated or SDLs, Green Mountain windows, and then the doors, of course, we would make them an 1.75 thick door that had weather stripping and would be more weather tight and function better for this house. And so that's what we're just hoping to do. And the other part is it's for planning for, this would be the son's house and the daughter wants to build a house next door in the same lot. So it's planning that, the son would get this house and he would like to just have it winterized so he could come down more frequently to Nantucket. And it's been in the family since their grandparents, since it was built. So, and it's just a quick little story. When you walk in that front door, the elevation you're looking at, door number 1, there's a painting right there in that wall that has, the front gate and 2 little trees on either side and then Sankaty Light. So when this house was built, they had a view of Sankaty Light, and of course now that's gone. But it really is kind of just a great little story of how this house has survived. But they would just like to bring it up to date and leave and protect the interior as much as possible. That's it.
Thanks,
for
Joe.
that
So
music.
that's our timer. So energy retrofit with TDLs and relocation.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, not to oversimplify it, but
Yeah.
and the colors.
All the same. The intent is to make the building 8 to 9 inches wider and then 4 to 5 inches taller. Nothing else. We really don't want to change anything.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have the comments from Holly and Rob is not with us. So regular board, who'd like to begin?
Could I ask a question?
Abby?
So Joe, when you're saying you're relocating it, resite the structure, so you're moving it a little bit, one whole building width to the left, or?
Yeah, and
How are you moving
we just had a conversation with my client, and the goal is to have this house and the daughter's house to have more relation. So we think, right now we want to move it, but maybe not so far. We really want to kind of work on that. And so I'm going to try and have a meeting when they're on island in the next couple of weeks to kind of have an interaction that the family's still connected, that they can see each other and there's a shared space. So yeah, we're just moving a little bit, but that may be altered and I'll come back for that as well, by moving it back closer.
Thanks. Abby, any other questions?
No,
Comments?
no, I think the siding of the house is kind of important. I don't mind just talking about the architecture, but anyway.
Okay. Val?
I have no concerns.
Ray?
Ditto.
Angus?
I just want to say I appreciate the preservation of the interior and adding the insulation on the outside. I've done that before, and it really can be successful. I just want to clarify that the relation of, like, when I'm looking at is it the north elevation, there's a photograph of the porch and 3 windows and a pergola, or a trellis, that the relation of the eave to the window heads is all that's going to be consistent, the same as it is. It's going to be projected out further.
That is correct. And the one thing I may do, Angus, is lower that level of the porch. Right now, even my client has to duck a little bit, so we're just hoping to get a couple more inches of height, but nothing significant. I mean, that change, you can see the north elevation of above. It's so insignificant, but it's just enough where I'm gonna knock myself out coming in and out of that. But it's for them, it would be more comfortable for them coming and going from that porch.
Thank you for that. And so my only concern is about the windows. If these are from 1938, they're, going on 90 years old, and they look to be in pretty decent shape. So if they've been changed out over time, I guess it would be helpful to have a window survey if the windows are not original. That's my only concern. Thank you.
Thanks. Val?
I already said I had no
That's what I thought.
concerns, yeah.
And Ray, you did?
I have no
Abby
concerns.
did. And so I think a window survey for the file is appropriate, and moreover, Joe, appreciate the sensitivity to the existing structure, no concerns with the relocation. Can we get a motion on this, Bill?
Motion to approve is submitted.
With a window survey?
Oh, with a window survey, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Thanks,
Thank you. Have a
Joe.
good night.
74 Main Street. Good evening. And let's see here. You have a 26 square foot addition? Might be a tough one. Let's see, why don't we go to the elevations maybe?
I think that's what was hard, I couldn't understand that.
And we'll have Joe comment on this.
Joe Paul?
Yeah, he was on the. You can just give us a brief description and we'll go from there.
Just squaring off the back of the house, not visible, 74 Main, turning a half bath into a full
Oh,
bath.
Ellie, hang on a
adding
sec.
shower.
Ellie, hold on 1 second.
Start over.
One more time.
74 Main, it's in the back, turning a half bath into a full, so just squaring off the back of the house there and adding a shower.
Okay.
Indoor shower. There
Thank
is an outdoor shower.
Good description. We have Holly's comments, and Mickey, you guys have anything?
Not really, but I don't think this is going to be visible, so we have no concerns.
Okay. Does anyone have any concerns with this?
Nope.
No.
Does somebody have a motion?
I move to approve as submitted.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries
So you
unanimously.
waited all that time.
Thank you.
On to the Artists Association.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Will's a great photographer, by the way.
Oh.
Take care. Okay, so.
Good heavens.
20 January is the hold? Like as a, okay. Because sometimes there holds from the previous meeting and it's here, so I just want to make sure. Okay, and then 13 Hawks. So 11 Davis Lane. Matt? You're kind of holding up summer vacation here, big guy. Yeah, yes.
To the shed.
Okay. So we're doing the shed first.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I know why I didn't put it on consent, I didn't understand the doors.
So, yeah, so this is just a shed, 200 square foot zoning shed. You can see where it's located. There's an existing cabana that was built and approved probably like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's kind of tucked to the side of the house and provides some additional screening on that side of the house, which I think was something that was welcomed during the initial review process. So fairly straightforward. So with that, looking forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Val, do you want to comment?
Yeah, I think it was the doors, Matt, I didn't understand the doors, that's why I didn't put it on consent.
Okay, but you understand them now?
No,
Okay, so
I didn't
Matt,
know if they were glass or,
is this a V-groove pattern,
It's just a V-groove pattern.
natural to weather or painted?
I believe painted. painted.
Val, any concerns?
Well, now that I know what they are, no.
Okay, well, that's why we're here. Anyone have any concerns with this? Motion?
Motion to approve is submitted.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously.
Davis.
Next.
And actually, I could see how that patterning was confusing, Val, so sorry about that.
That's all right.
Okay,
This one, I didn't put on consent because it's so many changes. I felt everybody should weigh in.
Okay, Matt, are these changes that we can eat with our eyes by looking at the drawing?
You can, if you prefer to just look at them. I could run through them very briefly, but they're mostly fenestration changes, window light configuration changes. Because it's a 2/2 window, we had basically 4 light French doors where we had French doors. And there was a disparate proportional relationship between that and the 2/2s. And so we changed it to this light configuration style, which was more in keeping with the individual light size of the 2/2s. We added a chimney, and probably the most significant is the solid rail looked really heavy and was adding to some heaviness on that second floor balcony. And so we just wanted to lighten that up. And so we're proposing this railing detail. So with that, look forward to comments from the board.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Val?
I just felt like there was a lot of changes, and taking away the shingled railing really just makes it more fenestration obvious. So I thought everybody should just weigh in on that. It's, yeah.
Okay. Let's see, Ray?
So I'm just reviewing this for the first time, and there's only 2 things so far that strike me as odd. One is the cable rail railing above the front door. I believe this is facing back to Davis Lane, is it not?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
You're going to correct the,
Yes, and it's also not cable, it's actually wood.
so it's
Oh, and it
horizontal.
faces the back, doesn't it, Matt?
No, it's all around the building.
Oh, okay.
So Matt, it just let's, Ray, sorry to interrupt, but Commissioner Paul. So the horizontal
Is wood.
is going to be wood, is what, like a 1x4, a 1x, like, is there a
think it's about an inch.
horizontal dimension left,
I
depth?
believe it's about 1.5 inches and it's mahogany, so we can kind of span.
Okay.
So it's not cable, I just want to specify that it's not metal, it is wood.
So it's not going to be a plank on the flat, it's more of a square? Correct. Okay, just so we all have that in our mind.
You know, that's better than cable, but it's still, like, very atypical. I can't imagine how even a piece of mahogany that wide, like, A, it would sag, B, if somebody like stood on it, it would snap. Oh, and the chimney
Yeah.
has kind of a funny cap. I'm sure this is a metal vestas type arrangement, right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes.
Yeah.
And it is
Metal,
gray,
yeah. What is
gray
that?
trim too, for what it's worth.
The house has gray trim?
Yes.
Okay.
Val?
What? I went.
Oh, I'm just so excited that we're getting to the end that I'm, Abby?
I just think
Could
it's a lot of
somebody-
fenestration, that's all.
Could, yeah, I agree with Val about that, but I just wanted to know about what kind of chimney is that? I didn't understand that term.
It's, through you, Mr. Chair, it's a parged finish.
Oh, parged, okay. And so it's, parged like cement and painted white, or what?
No, gray. Just
Gray,
natural
okay, all
parging.
right. So, I agree. I think, in the original iteration with the shingled balconies on the second floor, out there, it's so open out there. I think what's existing is much more subtle for the neighborhood. I think opening it up and adding this new kind of way to do a balustrade is, it's just going to be very, I can't talk.
Yeah.
Visual.
I feel the same
Thank you.
way.
Visual.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Angus?
I share the same concerns Ray does about the balcony rail. If those are horizontal boards, just, it would almost like, be like it's melting or sinking. It's just atypical. I prefer the shingle rail from before. And I guess the regular balusters on the porch as opposed to the horizontal rails. Other than that, I'm okay with it.
Thanks, Angus. Matt, I agree. The only comment I'll make differently on the railing is I think if you were to go with the shingle style up to the, I think just you could lower that and you could put one horizontal band. I would not personally be adverse to that.
Could try something like that.
But it would be, it'd be a little different, but I think it's approvable, slightly atypical, but approvable. And that would allow you to put a band on the center of each of the door, a vertical support at the center of each of the doors, and it's a little more contemporary, but it's much more traditional than what's proposed.
I don't understand what you just said,
So
sorry.
zoom in on the.
On that?
So basically, if he brought go to, the better one is the front elevation. Does it show the, yeah, so if he just continued the shingle across here, but one down. So that this would be this height, it would step down and come across shingle, and you'd have this piece, and then you have a little vertical support there, which we've actually approved on other properties. There's
Yeah.
I
couple
think
on
Win
Oak Point
Thorson
Road.
did that.
Yeah, why don't we draw that, bring it back to you? And it's interesting about the mahogany. One time we did a project out in Nantucket, probably about 9 years ago, and it was 3/4 square, and it was mahogany. And I actually used one of them in my backyard as like a fire stick. It is so rigid, you'd be surprised. But happy to make these revisions and have you look at it.
One
and bring
other
it back
thing,
before you.
the front door, I think is very atypical.
What was previously approved?
Look at it,
Somewhat
it's a
more-
4-light with a panel below, and this is now,
Matt, can you massage that front door a little bit so it doesn't look like a French door?
Sure.
A solo French door? Is it French doors? There's two of them.
well,
No.
You
it's
can have a
pair
single
of
French door.
French doors, glass.
Well, there you
Why did
go.
why did the French get the credit for that type of door? Remember the
I
French
know
curve, the
someone I can ask
drafting?
about
Remember the
that.
drafting shape?
and
the
does
French
anybody
curve?
have a
French
concern
curve.
with the
When we were
width
in
of the
France, I
chimney?
did a
Those
semester in
potato
France.
things, those little long potato things?
Yeah, and
They
I
get
asked the
credit for
people in
everything.
France, I'm like, what do you guys call the French curve? And they call it the parrot.
The pardon?
Yeah. 'Cause it's shaped like a parrot.
Matt, what color is the chimney?
Gray,
Gray.
natural parched.
Okay, so we can get a motion to hold for revision?
Yes, please.
Minor revisions?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that was Val's motion, carried unanimously. Do we want to have a discussion on distinguishing between solid and veneer brick on chimneys and foundations, or would we like to go home?
Go.
Well, I think we can cross off a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
so
thinking.
let's have a meeting on that at another time. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Really?
Wow.
No, you're kidding.
Gift. What a gift.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll make a motion to
All in favor,
adjourn.
say aye.
Aye.
That was Abby's motion, carried unanimously.
Heavens.
Nobody said nay.
Now what? Got the whole rest of the night.
Yeah, it's like,
What
it's
am I
like a
gonna
whole
do
nother day
now?
because we get out early enough.
Yeah, that's
Get to
really
go.
funny.
Let's feist.
Okay, so sign.
Yeah, I gotta, the whole brick veneer thing, we can discuss.
Yeah, that's a good topic.